April the 4th. This is week number 12. We're continuing the UX UI course here. Very important class today, so please make notes. Can we please just have as much attention as possible, please? Okay. So take notes, ask questions today, because going next week, we're going to have some challenges with scheduling the dates. So I want to make sure everyone's on point and everyone is clear on what's happening going forward. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to share my screen now. So first, let's look at the contents. I moved up the 2 deliveries that are expected from you on the top. So the mobile app group project, you can access it from the first page of the actual, of the first part of the actual course page. Then you have the group presentations. So as we talked earlier, if we're gonna have a problem with this Good Friday coming up and your presentations, I'm able to have you deliver your presentations on a video. In this area here where it says group presentations, you can upload your video, 10 minutes, 15-minute video, okay? Each of you presenting different part of your project. Put it in there and I'll accept that as your presentation. Alternatively, I will create a chat room if you do need help or if you want to present it with me live. I can have that also happen on the Monday of the following week. If you guys have a free time, we can do it in the morning, okay? And if you really, really can't make it and something's happening, give me some kind of written presentation of the reason why. But honestly, that's like a last resort. And I don't want to even talk about that. That's like emergency stuff, okay? With the technology that you have right now, we should be able to do it. You got Google Meets, you got Teams, you even got Zoom. Even Skype, I think you can record. Your computer has a screen record function as well. So you have a lot of options here, okay? All right, so that's the 2 main items. They're moved on top. Let's look at what they are. So the mobile app group project, this is again, the only modification here was like 8 pages. This is minimum, okay? Most of these projects I'm going to show you from my previous group, they all got 20 plus pages. So the 8 means you're really minimal, but your design is super savvy and you're just introducing basics and stuff. So when you say minimum, that means that's the bare minimum. All right. Interactive menu mobile version. Yeah, it should work. All your menu items should work, whether it's a hamburger menu, which I'm going to show you today, or it's like a bottom menu or any type of menu, it should be interactive. Don't worry about rollovers. We're not doing websites. Websites have rollovers. If you want to include it in some of your projects, I guess not a big deal. You can, but rollovers are not necessary. We're just doing clicks and drags and things like that. Logging, sign up page, etc. You want the app to look authentic as possible. So most apps do have like a logging page or sign up page, right? So do have that in there. You don't necessarily have to have an animation, like the logo coming in and then the logging page happens. And I'll show you how to do that as well, because this animation is just as easy in Figma as it is with XD. Okay, so these are the 3 just things I really wanted to point out. On top of that, here's your actual PDF handout. Here it gives you all the necessary things that you have to do. Now, this is a truck service app. How many of you are doing a truck service app? Okay, because I always have a few people that love that idea and they go with it. That's fine, but you don't have to do a truck service app. You can do any app that you like. This is just an example of, let's say that's what you did. This is an example of how you should approach it. So I'm not gonna read you this, but it's there. Here's the thing though, research, okay? So you will need to understand the client's business, the model, like market research, okay, all the demographics and stuff. Give me this is your presentation basically. Your research is part of your presentation. Then you have the site map, and this shows how the app or the website, whatever product it is how it's going to connect, how it's going to flow together in a schematic diagram. That's what they call that. And then the third delivery is the wireframe. For the past 2 weeks in this class, I've been doing wireframes between Figma, the grayscale boxes, right? Just a simple look. And then later we do a high fidelity mockup, which is the last part, the prototype. And that's the 4 things. Okay. Now, some of these things, the way they're delivered from my previous experiences, a lot of the students gave me all these 3 parts in a PDF. Right? The PDF has all that stuff. You have the first page is the research. The page 2 and 3 is the actual schema or the schematic diagram. And then the other pages show me like the wireframes, layouts and designs, thumbnail sketches, right? Color concepts, color theories, fonts, UI kits, user personas, all the stuff you've learned so far, they compacted into this project, okay? So that's just some ideas that you'll see from other students. And then the other file is the Figma file. I want to see a tangible file because let's be fair, sometimes links get broken and stuff. If you give me a broken link, then I can't see your project. Always give me the actual file. If you want to give me a link too, put the link too, just in case. All right, so now, enough talking about it. Why don't I just show you what other people did? Okay, so you get a real visual of how this was delivered. So here we go. You can only do so much with explaining things. I'll just close my page for a second. So I just pulled up some these are my groups from last semester. I had, I think, 9 groups. Okay, most of them were 3s and some were 2s. It was a smaller section. These are the students that start in January, right? They finish in the summertime or the winter time, actually. Okay, so here's one, and these students did a thing called, it's called Colorpedia. It's an app for color selections, something like, you know, like Adobe, the color wheel that they have, but this is the Colorpedia. So let's see what they presented. Why don't I just do full page preview? I'm only going to show you a few because I also want to do a lecture as well today. I don't want to just do a, hey, here's what students did. So like I said, it's a busy day today, okay? So I'm going to go through it as quick as I can. So this was their presentation. They were up here, 3 of them talking about it. They took turns, okay? So what's Colorpedia? Well, it's a mobile app that designed to consolidate the most important information about color, okay? It serves as a guide for creatives who understand the power that color adds to their designs. So that's what the app does, and they went on about it, right? And then they talked about, you know, how's the app structured, right? And they talked about that. This is the actual flow charts, the schematic diagram. These are all the pages they put together for the app to work, right? So the next thing they did was they gave me the low fidelity wireframe, right? The grayscale version. So this is fine, right? It's all a bunch of boxes and circles with text, some lorem ipsums, right? And then the research, right? Now the research could be in the beginning. You can shuffle it any way you like. Color combinations, okay? Monochromatic colors, analogous colors, split complementary, tints and shades, the 3 properties of color, okay? Color psychology more, the different breakdowns, okay? And they talk about all this stuff. Wordmark, right? There's the Wordmark logo, Colorpedia. Right? And there's different versions. There's always a black background, a white background, or a transparent background with an actual color breakdown background. And there's another version of the logo as well. And there's the fonts that they used. Okay, so that was their presentation. This took up at least 5 minutes or maybe 7 to 10 minutes of their presentation time. Then they went on to tell me, now let's show you what the app looks like. So they pulled out their phones or they actually opened it up on the computer like I'm going to do it right now. And it looked like this. I'm going to open it in drafts. Actually, it's in the project files. It's already there. Realize my phone is a different format than iPhone 16 because this is length. It's this flip phone. It's elongated vertically, so everything gets cut off here. So I got to find a different dimension for this. So don't expect every phone to work the same. Okay. Depends on your phone. You might have to. You can just pick one that's popular and go with that. And that's okay if it's not perfect. It's still gonna show how it works. So let's open this one here. Okay, here's Colorpedia. Okay, so I wanted to show you something else here. When you create a project in Figma, you can break it up into different categories. You can do what's called, these are your pages, just like InDesign. You have a page for your assets, like your asset, which is your UI kit, right? Or other assets. So that's the assets category. So you can go and make a new page and create the wireframe assets as well in Figma, okay? But you can also use Illustrator. You can do this differently, but I'm showing you what they did. They used Figma for the whole duration of the project. Then they have there's their wireframes here, right? So they did all this in Figma. They exported it and put in a PDF for the presentation. That's what they did. So Figma was their main tool for everything mostly. 80% of the work was done in Figma, if not maybe 90%. And then, watch this, fully rendered page. So these are just pages. You can make pages and you can put the projects in those pages. So let's go ahead and press, and this is their project. So you can see here, this is their intro page. It's an animation, right? And then it goes to their home page. This is their main page. From that, well, let's just do this. Let's go to prototype and you can see how it's connected, right? Right. And they're using simple things. I mean, Figma got really, really advanced in the past few years. You can do a lot of behavior components and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, we need another 10 weeks to cover that. Okay. It's a little overwhelming, but you can learn that on your own. It's really not hard once you know the basics of Figma and you can actually do something like this. You can easily become more advanced. Just put some more time into it. Yeah. Correct. That's right. That's what I like. So I can like zoom out and get a scope of the whole thing. And if you zoom in, I mean, look, even me looking at this, I'm confused. I'm like, what's like, how's this gonna go? But if you're the one that created the project, you'll know how it's gonna go because you made it, right? It's easier when you make something than look at somebody else's making something. So this is how they did it. And now let's put it to work. Let's press the play button and let's see what this thing actually looks like. So here we go. Right? So there's the little animation, Colorpedia. That's the first section I showed you. And then we go to get started. Username, password, sign in. Okay, there's the main menu. Like rollovers were not necessary, but because it's a presentation, it does look kind of cool, right? So if you want to put rollovers on the homepage, go ahead. I don't suggest you put rollovers everywhere. Please don't. It's a waste of your time. Plus, it's not necessary. But if you want to show it off here and there, I think they picked a really good spot for that. Because if you're doing a presentation for a client and it's on a video and they get to see this, they'll be odd too. They're like, oh, that's kind of cool because I can clearly see I'm hovering those sections. So when I click on explore, now I go to the next section, right? So color more rollovers. Okay, so these are the main menus, right? Color combinations. Okay, so that's what they talked about earlier. Let's go back to the home page. Let's look at colors. I think each color, actually, if you click on it, there's a different, remember that we did last week with the way you can have the image kind of hover in, hover out, right? The in positioning. So that's the blues. Let's look at the reds. Okay. So different options there. Let's look at the, I don't know, I'll just randomly pick the purples. Good, but they did every color, right? Now, if you can't, my job is to direct you to do every possible link that you have, because then it looks like an authentic app. I don't want something to click and doesn't work, okay? Now, if you have, I'm not saying everything should work, but make sure the main buttons work at least, okay? If everything doesn't work, that's fine. At least I get the gist of it. Because the whole purpose of this is to present to a client. I'm your client. So if I like the app, here's $500,000. Let's go get it done, okay? That's basically what the whole point's about. Get the money, get the project, get the developers. Let's make this thing real, right? That's what you're pitching. You're pitching to a client. So if you can do as much as you can, that's the main objective. So let's go to the other ones now. Let's go to palettes. Okay, and the palettes also have a little thing here. Okay. So you can see that they did a good job with this app. Like a lot of it is pretty intuitive. It works, right? It's got all the color combinations and stuff. Oh, you can do you can like and unlike the thing too. Just like the little thing you see with the social media aspects. And then you have the personal information. So look, even this works, profile information, right? Then you have the theme. You can pick a different theme, dark theme or light theme. But no, they didn't do that. Now, if they had another, they're the type of group, they were aggressive. They were gonna do it. They said we ran out of time, but they were gonna make a dark theme and a light theme and just copy the whole thing, paste it, and just change the background color. You can actually make it happen. But I said, listen, that's okay. I don't have to see both themes. But the options there, language. And yes, they didn't do every language. They didn't do Dutch, okay? So, but they showed the option that it is a language preference setting that you can change the language if needed to be, right? So what I'm saying is you don't have to go all out. Do as much as you can. Show me that the potential's there. And it's up to the client to decide if it's necessary to do 6 languages. Maybe let's do 3 for now. Let's do English, French, and Spanish. Forget about the other ones, okay? They can just do that. So then you have about this app. Okay, so you can see pretty much most of these buttons work, and it's a pretty good app. They did a pretty good job, right? So this is something that you can do. That's why it's a group project. If you all put your heads into this, it should be an easy scenario. And don't think it was easy for them. They also had the same projects you guys have. They had a quiz with Roberto the next day. They had to do a presentation at the IGS building. They had to do all the same things you did, okay? They all had to face the same music. So, you know, be strong and you'll get this thing done. Here's the next example. I'll show you maybe one more, okay? Because I don't want to spend the whole class showing you examples, but that was a good one I wanted to show you. Another one, I'll show you a different theme one. The other ones. This is called, it's, who's doing the pet one here? There's a pet. This is called Bark and Bounce. It's like a pet project for to get owners in Toronto looking for services such as dog walking and dog boarding. So it's a dog walking app, right? So there's the brand guidelines, the logo, the icons, the colors, the typefaces, the research, the mission statements. Okay, competitors, Rover, right? And the other ones, UX persona. Always good to have a UX persona in there. Hint, right? Because your portfolio, a lot of UX designers have a user persona just to show how here's a site map. So you see how the site map looks different? It doesn't have to be a bunch of boxes pointing to one another, right? Wireframe. Then the prototype. They even included the prototype. They screen capture their final, good render prototype onto their presentation, and that's fine too, right? A little bit of nice ending there, right? So they showed everything on an actual PDF. So that had the 3 components: the research, okay, had the wireframe, the schematic, and everything else that went into the 3 parts. And the last part is the actual project itself, a Figma file. And before that, we did XD. Figma was just like on the border of deciding, should we do Figma, should we do XD? So eventually we went to Figma, right? And now we're Figma still. So this was like the section that we started Figma with. Let's go with drafts here, or actually we'll go to projects instead. So this is their final version, okay? Right, so they have a little less screens than the Colorpedia app that you saw before, but nonetheless, you can see a good handful, maybe 20 or so, right? Okay, so let's start with this is their kit right here. Today, I'm going to show you components. So when you learn how to use components, you can integrate that in your app. Easy to implement, okay? They use the 8-column grid, okay? If that helps you, that's fine. But just remember, 12 is for websites. You can use 4, 8, 6. I've seen even 2, okay? And some even don't use this. This is an animation. So it goes from here to there, back and forth. Okay, let's press play now. Let's play the actual prototype. I gotta click to. Oh, here. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So we have login, sign up. Let's log in. We go to the login section. You can do remember me. This is just a check mark on and off, right? It's a cool little feature you can put in there. It's like a toggle switch, which we're going to do today as well. We log in. Here we are. Okay. And then we have the first a dog. It's a Welsh Corgi dog walker. Okay. You can go next and cycle or location. I think it's not. Boarding. Shopping cart. If you want to pay for the services, there's like a shopping page. I wasn't too impressed with the overall finished design, I'll be honest with you, okay? But overall, the concept, the execution was well done, but they could have done a little more better with the details, right? Because compared to the other one, they were more design oriented, okay? Like even this, it's hard to read, like, you know what I mean? Make it nice and visible. Okay, so that was their app that they gave us, and then there's more sections there and stuff, okay? One more quick one. One more, just an example. Okay. Let's see here. Transit. So these guys did the TruckMate app. So here's how they presented it. Let me show you a nice one here with a different theme. They also did the truck. A few people did the truck app as well. User personas. They did the whole brainstorming, wireframes, prototyping, right? And then they did the app, the actual app as well. Okay. So even you put this in your portfolio, it shows that, hey, you can do some UX UI stuff as well. It's gonna be a nice addition to that what you already have. Let's do the truck app right now. Okay, this was done in XD. This was an XD, but I think I mixed up. This is an XD project. But you see, it's no different than Figma, right? It's just a different the artboards. There's the map, the location, truck repair, right? Sorry. The level that I've taught you, it's pretty much the same. But Figma has way more functionality power than over XD because it's more supported now. It's the same thing, yeah. But I encourage you to use Figma though, because that's the more the criteria that we're. Okay. Um, let me see if I can squeeze one more in there. How many people did the truck app? This was the presentation for Argent Noir. I think it was like a gold or precious metals app. Let me see if this one, there's the sitemap for it. You open this one. Okay, and then we'll start the class, okay, after this. So again, a lot of the stuff you can do in components on the side. Then you can do like the main screen, and then you can do the actual introductory pages and everything that goes with it, like the main menu and all the connecting parts. Okay. So start shopping. So it's like a jewelry fashion outlet kind of app. And this just animates by itself. Okay, you do login, sign up. Then you can actually go ahead and like or select the actual products that you want. And yes, there's a drop-down menu. Today, I'm going to show you how to do a hamburger menu as well, okay? So I'm going to teach you all these little tricks that you can add. But honestly, those are not too hard to do. You just have to kind of do it on the side and then just implement it. And there's a lot of tons of tutorials. Let's say something I didn't show you because there's so many things out there. You can actually look something up, watch a 10-minute YouTube tutorial, and just throw it in there. Okay? Just be careful with some of these YouTube tutorials. I found a lot of them were like they just made something simple very complex. It's like, why are you putting 25 steps into this? You can do it in 5 steps. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make this easy. So do the 5-step approach. Don't make it 25 steps. Now, if you want to do something very tedious and appropriate and something that you have to do, then you got to do the 25 steps, okay? But if you want to do simple and execute it, hit the same effective results, 5 steps, okay? Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started now with the lesson. I showed you enough samples. This is what these guys gave me. There's a few more I can show you, but that's basically how this group executed this same project that you guys are doing. At the end of the day, you're all going to have an app that you can show off to your friends, coworkers, future employers, and say, look what I made, right? On your phone. So that's, a lot. How many people can do that these days? Not too many, right? You'll be the 1%. Okay, so where did we leave off last week? We made a very basic wireframe model. Like I'm going to start a scratch one today. So we're going to start a brand new scratch, a brand new file from scratch. I also want to show you this coffee app. It's a coffee shop app. It's an example here as well. The same approach I showed my other group that I showed you that they did the Colorpedia. They followed a similar kind of structure with this one. So look at the pages that, see, I like the fact that Figma has pages. Because pages, you can organize your work. So you have, this is your preview. This is like their presentation, okay, of this app. Okay, it's called the coffee shop, right? And this is like their design board, right? Here they designed, their menus and stuff, their colors, okay, the screen preview. This is their UI kits, the assets, okay, the typography, stuff they want to use. This is their colors. This project is for you to look at right now. You have access to this. This example, it's from last week's session. It's there. So if you wanna open this up the way I'm opening and looking at it right now, you can, just to get ideas and stuff, right? So it's already accessible to you. The name of it is called Coffee Shop Mobile App. So remember, Coffee Shop, that's the one that's there for you. And when I say where for you, I'm talking about over here. So now we're in the last phase called usability and testing. That's what we're kind of looking at right now, like trying different things, working with interactions and making projects. But this is right here, class 11 and 12, okay? Coffee shop. So what I'm talking about right now, it's right here under class 11, class 12, which was last week. So you can access that right here. You can also access the Paris Olympics and other examples I showed you. But this is a really good one because it captures everything in a nutshell. Just like I did with the demos from the previous students. This was not done by the students. This is an actual sample I got online, okay, from my own sources. So this one I'll show you. So this is the preview. Now this is the thumbnails, right? So they made some thumbnails on how this will work. This is not really necessary for you to do. These are the assets, whether it's images, buttons and stuff like that. This is the style guide. This is the wireframe. Look at this wireframe. Okay. They still kept some colors in there, but it was mostly like blocks and elements of design. And visual. This was the actual app. So if we press play, this is what the app looks like, right? It's not interactive, by the way. It's just like a presentation. Okay, so that's just how they divided their project files. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to do. Go in today's lesson. So we're under usability and testing. This is the last segment of the actual course, class 13 and 14. These are all freebies. A lot of students asked me before, hey, how do you make a Figma into a website? How do you make an HTML? So I did find some sources you can explore. I'll just warn you that just be cautious about some of these things because they're not 100%. Okay, so just people are just exploring these ideas. PX go to HTML, Figma. These are the ones that popped up in the top 5 categories. So basically, what this is it shows you how to do Figma to code automated. Don't even waste your time with this right now. Okay, this is for later. Okay, you can copy and paste this later. Look at it. This is for you to convert a website from Figma into HTML. And there's a way to do it, but it's a lot of back and forth and stuff. PX Code, same thing. Okay, another company that provides services to convert Figma to production-ready HTML. So those of you that don't like to code websites, well, this might be something that you might want to look into later, okay? So that's what the first things are. Next thing is called component buttons. So this is just something I put together for you that I'm gonna work with you today. Auto layouts, okay, portfolio. So let's look at this one first. I'll save this on the desktop and then I'll make a new one for you. So auto layout is when you actually group objects or elements or group of, let's call them graphics or assets. And you can actually control how they flow together. Just like a very similar thing you're learning in HTML when you have like, you're using things like Bootstrap, okay? And you have things like that are responsively working together. They automatically align kind of underneath each other, beside each other. So these are just different methods of doing this, right? Just to demonstrate, look, see what happens to this? Okay, so it's responsive basically, right? These also, see, they respond to you readjusting the screen size. So why is this important? Because when it comes to layouts and different type of insertions that you're going to be generating, you want to have the flexibility to do auto layout. It's a big feature in Figma, auto layout. XD doesn't have. Okay. Another one is called the frame tool. Well, the frame tool, we already know how that works, right? Or framing graphics together. So Figma has way more functional type of programmatic tools that XD doesn't have. So I would give Figma a thumbs up on that. The only benefit of XD is it's more Adobe compliance. You can open up things with Illustrator, Photoshop right into XD and make it up like the project you did last time. That's why I'm pushing Figma on you now, because you put Figma and XD on your resume, it's better than just having one, right? And you can actually say, look, I did this in XD all by myself, the last project, and this one you work with a group, you have a Figma project as well. Okay, so you have nice 2 portfolios to show. And of course, you can improve these portfolios later when you have more time. Okay, like your previous project, you can make something else if you like. All right, so let's show you how this auto layout works. Maybe I'll create a new document. I'll keep this really simple. So I'll open up a new tab. I'm going to make a new design file because that's what the one we're working on. I'm just going to create a box here. Just a rectangle. I'm going to hold Option, drag, Shift, Command D, Command D, Command D. Okay, so I'm just going to back it up a bit because I always want to test it before I do it, right? So here I have 4 rectangles, okay? Step and repeat it over. This could be text, image, graphics, icons. You can imagine. I just want to keep it simple so it's not too distracting. 4 squares, okay? If I select all of them, if you right click, you can do what's called auto layout. Shift A, there's a shortcut. This is such a popular thing that if you press Shift A, it'll convert it to auto layout. And what auto layout? There's also a button right here. This also does auto layout. If you click on this button over here, the screen doesn't show that. So I'm going to use the mouse. Over here is what I'm talking about. So if you do the auto layout, this is what it will do for you. You can then control this group of objects in a way that you can't control them before, such as you can control even spacing automatically like this, right? You can control how they flow together, just like you would like InDesign maybe. This is more related to HTML actually. So this is how they flow. Now the auto layout is based on these configurations. By default, it goes to the right. So anytime you resize something, it's always gonna be forced to go as far as you can to the right. But if you change this to a vertical layout instead of a horizontal layout, what happens now is everything goes this way. So it's a vertical layout. So you can do vertical or horizontal layout. Most people like to use this next feature. This is a more popular one. It's called the wrap. The whole purpose of doing an auto layout is to wrap your layout. So when you resize your box, they flow automatically like this. It's like a responsive thing, okay? So when you do an auto layout and you turn on this feature here called wrap, it'll wrap around your whole design. But imagine you have a text, an icon or an image of something, a product, a description, okay? Some other little nuances and buttons and icons. They can all responsively resize in a group if you turn this feature on, okay? So just remember that if you're doing, do you have to do this in your projects? If you don't feel a need for it, probably not, but it's going to make your life easier, especially if you duplicate pages and make adjustments. You see, this is what professionals like to use. Like, why is Roberto showing you today paragraph formatting? I heard them say it in the background. Because if you're a professional working on a catalog that's 200 pages, you better do that. Okay, you better use paragraph styles, character styles, because you're going to be there all day clicking back and forth, applying styles to every page. Why would you do that? As soon as you do it, it does it for all the pages, right? Same thing with this. It's an advanced feature. Okay, so that's auto layout. Maybe I'll put this on an actual frame. So I'll put a frame in a frame. Now I'm going to do something different. This time I'll create a section, okay? So instead of a frame, I like to make a section because sections are not really visible. They're just call them side areas, like your playground, like an area that you do your drafting and stuff. Because in this section, I'm going to create what's called a component kit. And the component kit can be used for for your menus. You might do a drop-down menu. You might want to do little switches. You might want to do a slider. These are the things we're going to do now, the more advanced interactive components for your apps or websites. So I'm going to put that all here. So with auto layout is for your content. You have like a user, picture, content, text. This is going to be more like interactive stuff. So I'm going to rename this content, and I'll upload this later so you can access it as well on Blackboard. Auto layout, and in brackets, Shift A. Components. Oh, by the way, this is all on page 1. So we're going to call this one here, you can call it assets, or you can call it wireframe, you can call it whatever you want to specify it as in terms of your project breakdown, okay? So I'm going to call this here maybe assets, okay? The most simplest button you can have is just an icon or some kind of a rectangular, elliptical, or any type of shape. I'll just do a simple rectangle here. And this just can say button right on it. But and then I'll show you how to make one with text because it's pretty savvy what you can do with that. So just keep it simple for now, very simple. I'm gonna change the color of it to like the orange a little more. There we go, right? Nice and orange. And I'll even go as far as maybe rounding the corners a little bit, right? Okay. So now I want to make this a component. Like you can do without components, but it just makes it easier when you do multiple pages and you're a professional working on a big project and you're working with a team. You have to do components. Then you can add things like behaviors and other advanced forms. But from components, like sky's the limit, basically. So it'd be not fair for me to not show you components, right? So I know we're at the end of the semester, but this is the time you will appreciate and understand components. Because if I do this on the first day, you'll be like, what's the point of this? Now you'll see the point because you'll see why this is important to add in your multiple pages. So it just makes it easier. So components is when you do, one or more interactions with interactive elements in your, let's say, mobile apps that you want to reuse and make them more dynamic in terms of its functionality application. So in this case, to make a component, you right click and you do create components. There's a shortcut with Option Command K. So if you press Option or Control Alt K on the PC or Mac, you will create a component. The difference will look purple. That's, for me, it's a big tell sign here. Once you see the purple bounding box, you know it's a component. And Figma did a good job of making that recognizable. Because before it was blue. Blue is like you're in draft mode, drawing mode. Purple means component mode. Now, this is where it got me scratching my head a few weeks ago. I was like, what did you guys do? Because where's the component options here? Because it was so easy to, you go up here, you click on, add a different component state. Well, it's no longer there. So what you want to do now is either you can right click and do it that way, okay? Or, and this is how you add a variant, but this is far too tedious, right? So watch this carefully. Watch carefully. Did you see that? Add variants. Add variant means you're adding a different variation of that type of component, like a rollover state. Remember variant? State 1, state 2, rollover state. Remember in XD we did hover state, right? Different states. So states in translation from XD to Figma is called a variant. So different variants, you click here, see where my cursor is? I'll hover the mouse in case you're watching the video. You can see add variant right here. Or you can just right click and do it this way too. Look for here, okay? So from the drop down menu. So when you add a variant, what you see is the bounding box increase its property size, and it'll create a second variation of that component. So that means now what you want to do here is entirely up to you. In this case, I'll change the color to something else. So I'll scroll down here and I'll make this perhaps maybe a nice green color. This is the most simplest way I can explain to you how components work. We did a two variable or variations component. And now it's up to you. It's up to us what we want to do, a rollover, a click, a drag, a hover, whatever action you want to program. I'll do the most common one, which is a tap. For that to happen, you have to interact with these two states or variations. So we zoom in. Nope. Yeah, click one by accident. Just trying to find the names here. Give me a second. Right? So if you go to prototype, so prototype's the next tab over. This is when you have to now create the interactive state with the components. So I'm going to drag this, remember the edge of the box? Drag and drop. So I want to connect the orange to the green. And what should happen? Well, on click, see, they can't use tap. You know why? Because they'll get sued. Because XD uses tap. So they're going to use click instead. Just like Microsoft versus Apple. They use a recycling bin. Apple uses a trash can in court that didn't hold water, right? Your Honor, it's a different item, right? The menu's here, the menu's there. They used it on the left side, the buttons to close the window. It's on the left for the windows, it's on the right, different. These are all different things. Browsers, refresh versus reload. Even browsers had their thing with terminology. So same thing here, just be aware in case you're saying, where's the tap? Where's the tap? Well, it's called a click. So you do the click. On click, we're going to go change to variant 2. I mean, this is all set up for you. You just have to drag and just hit OK. Just set the click state. But you know what? Instead of click, let's do while hovering. OK? While hovering. Let's do while hovering. It'll change the states. So it's a nice, simple rollover function. It's great for websites, OK? Like desktop websites. And some people use it in the apps too. So while hovering, we're going to change the colors. Okay, so the most simplest way I can present to you this is the way I just did. Now I'm going to go ahead and just make a frame here. Okay, pretend we're doing a project now, and we want to incorporate this component in our projects. I'm going to go use the frame tool. Here's the frame tool. Let's draw a nice frame over here. What kind of app are we making for what phone? Like Android, Apple, iPhone? What are we doing? Well, let's decide over here. Go back to design and pick the actual mobile device. So let's go with the iPhone 16, okay? SE? Sure, let's do SE. Nice and small. Actually, I like SE. It's small, it's mini. It might even work with the other ones. And don't think it'll still resize. Even if you do SE and you have an iPhone 16 Plus, right? XL or whatever, then it's gonna expand as well. So there's the let's call this the main screen. Okay. So how do we move this over here and what can we do with it? Well, we know already from if you watch the videos I recorded from the last two lessons, we already did layouts and examples of building an app from a wireframe to a high fidelity frame. Today, I wanted to focus more on integrating components in addition to what I showed you. I can't really start from scratch every time I show you something, but just to reflect back on what we did so you kind of can cohesively put it back together. We did this here. The version 2 mobile draft. Okay, so you guys remember this from last week, right? I think we even did like a color version too. Close the window again. And we did this one. Trying to find the exact one we left off. Okay, either way, whichever one doesn't matter. We can use this one here as an example. So you can either do copy and paste, okay, or you can move items from one area to the other. Like remember we did the drag and drop with the images and stuff. Like I just don't have that example here. It's probably have to download from the website. But you could incorporate. I'm gonna maybe do a quick copy and paste with this demonstration, but I could move things back and forth if I choose to, right? So these are my main tabs that I've opened. So let's see how this works first internally. So I'm going to move this over here. So how do I drag this over? Well, you have your assets and you have your files. So the assets is this component. When you go to assets, you can see all the stuff you've built. So if I drag and drop this, this is what it looks like. So this will look like that. You know why? Because that's the default state. It'll always look orange because that's primarily what it's going to display as. Then you can come here and do your, resizing. You can go Option, drag, Shift, Command D. There's your 4 buttons or your menu, whatever you want to create. So if we play this now, there's a simple rollover, right? The components work. Remember we did a hover state. Hover means you change the color, and when you roll away, go back. It automatically does that. You don't have to that's what I'm saying. You don't have to make this complicated. Because some people do mouse enter, change color. Mouse leave, restore color. Why would you do that? Because you go hover while you hovering, change the color, automatically goes back to the original color. So just use common sense, please. Because some of these tutorials on YouTube, they just I'm like, why? You just wasted half an hour for this. Just make it simple. Make it work. So, I'm not saying they're all bad, but some of them were too complex. Okay, so that's how you can keep things simple. Let's do another component. So this is just one example. I'm going to keep building the components here and testing it on this artboard here. But just so you know, you can always carry them over back and forth to other artboards, copy and paste. All that stuff works. Let's see, copy. Just want to paste this in there. Look, I just copied and pasted this component into the other project. Remember the other project that I worked on? So you can just copy and paste, resize, and do stuff like that. Now you're not going to necessarily resize. I just did it to fit it in there. You can actually leave it as is. That's why the planning is important. So, and you're not going to copy and paste from one project to another. You're all going to work on the same project. Okay, and if you do copy and paste, it'll work either way. Okay. Okay, so let's build more components now. Let's do a click state. Now we did a hover state. The hover state is good for websites, not for mobile apps. Don't even waste your time with this unless you want to do an extra thing on your app, okay? So let's create a new component. So for this one, I'm going to create a maybe a combination of two things. So I'll draw a text box here. I'll call this button. I want to teach you something really cool here. Because what happens is when you have a text box like this, right? And it's a button that says button on it. You're gonna have, a lot of you will have buttons with content in the buttons, right? A lot of buttons have, a description of what the button does. So Figma is really good at this. Let me show you a nice trick with Figma, how it handles buttons. Because what's wrong with this right now? What's wrong with the design? Sorry? Yeah, it's not centered. It's the top left corner. It's got no color. There's no background, right? So how do you make this like perfect, right? So you can either do this. You can go double click. You can go over here, and you can do like center, and you can do a vertical center like you would in, let's say, treat it like InDesign, right? With InDesign, you got to do like 10 steps to center the content in the frame box. Remember that, right? Not 10, but probably like 3, but you know what I mean. So with this one, it's quite easy, okay? All you have to do is you do the actual here. Ready? I did this already before on this example. What did I do? Anybody tell me? What was that thing that I did here? That was really awesome. Because I don't want you to think only layout, design. I can do it on this too. I'll give you an example. It starts with the letter A, L, auto layout. Remember auto layout? So if I right click and I also do auto layout, remember Shift A, the shortcut? If you do auto layout, look what happens. The button now is perfectly centered to the bounding box because it's auto layout. And you can, by default, it's centered. And that's all you have to do. Because then this button now is an auto layout button. And you could do all kinds of stuff and resizes. Shift A. Yeah, Shift A. And I'm just going to change the actual fill color. Yeah, it's different than the solid color. Okay. Auto layout. And why would I use an auto layout? Because now I can convert it to a component and make it an interactive button and then add that to my project, right? See, you can build a whole project with simple buttons and then add components on some areas. You don't have to have components everywhere, but this is where you can kind of like sideline your work and then apply it afterwards. So then you do right click. Make sure you select it here, not here, because you can then select the font, the color, and all that stuff too. But if you select it here and you right click and you create components, remember, create components, Option, Command K. Used to be Command K. I don't know why they made it so complicated. Okay, so create components. Here's another one over here. Create component. That button on the top right. See where my mouse is hovering right there on the top right corner? Right there, create component. It becomes purple. Remember that? And then you add a variant. So the next step is, since you're here, click on the next button, add a variant, and now you can do your variants. What's the variant for this one? We'll do a click variant. That's what last one was, a hover variant. So we're going to do, so to do that one, I'm going to zoom in here, click on this. This is the default state. I'm going to go to prototype, and I'm going to connect this button to this button just by simply dragging the edge down here. It's like, remember the connecting the lines when you did an XD, similar, right? And then it's going to give me a nice, convenient drop-down menu to choose what I want to do afterwards. So I select, do you want to do on click? I'm like, yeah, that's actually exactly what I wanted to do. Or you can do the other stuff. And I'll be honest with you, these are not as popular as those ones. Drag is really good with dragging sliders. So you can do like a slider, which I'll do next. You can make a slider go left and right, like a volume button. You can do a slider for maybe changing colors and stuff on your settings. And your phone has a lot of sliders, right? So that's something you want to add on an app? Absolutely. So I'll show you how drag components work. Now I'm going to do the click. While hovering, that one we already did. That's the first one I did, while hovering. Remember, that was a smart one. While you hover, change the color. If you don't, change it back. So that's what while hovering does. So we did this first. I'm doing this now, and after I'll do this. While pressing and the key thing, no. While pressing is too long, computers glitch. Let's face it, people with trackpads have a hard time doing stuff. You're gonna break your. So the last two are not too important. The first three are very important. Okay. So clicking, dragging, hovering for websites. So clicking is next. So while click changed to variant 2, okay, you can also name these things like formula, like X, Y equals Z, but we'll leave it default for now. So the trick is to go from prototype back to design to change the color of this to change to something else. So I'm going to change this to this color, right? Okay. Now, what happens when you click on the button? We clicked. But when you click it back, it'll unclick, right? So you can go click on and off like a toggle switch, which I think I'll do another. Well, let me just show you how this works by itself, because you'd be like, okay, well, that's not too practical. What happens now? So we're going to go here and integrate this into an example, because even this alone is pretty powerful as it is. So again, we created a component, very simple. This time it's a text field of a button that when it's clicked, it changes to a color and the content. And then see what happens. So to insert that in our working prototype screen, like our artboard or frame, we go back to our component gallery. Remember, like in Illustrator, you have what's called symbols. These are our symbols in Figma, right? So we drag a symbol, or let's call it a proper term. It's a component. And we're going to drag this all the way here. Okay. And let's test it. So our first component was a hover state. Our second component is, notice how the finger changes to a clicking icon. And if I click on it, it changes color and the wording. But now what? It's stuck. So to get unstuck, you basically add another command. Okay. So you either click on the click to go back. If it's like, remember how I did the example of like, when you like something on social media, you double tap or click. You can click, you can also unclick. Follow, unfollow, like. So these are toggle switches. So to do a toggle switch, you'll have to consider that and simply go in your component and say, listen, when people click again, unclick the button. So double click, prototype, simply drag it back to the original. So you have to kind of do like a reverse state, right? And this one is on click, change to default. I don't have to do anything, just drag it to the default. If you look closely, there's the two arrows. So now it's a complete action. So if I go back here now, right? Will it work or I have to drag it again? What do you think? Will it update automatically? It better. What's the point of doing components if it doesn't? Because imagine you have like 100 pages. Imagine you have like a huge website or an app and you made one change here. Guess what? It changes it everywhere else. It's like a master page or a master component. That's what I used to call it. Let's go back again. Hover state, click, unclick, click, and unclick. Okay. couple, like here, click again, click again, click again. How many times, Danielle? 5 times. Five's my favorite number. Now, just because we're on the subject of checking boxes and clicking, let me show you one more thing here. Watch this one. I'm gonna go back to design here. Because, I want to present you with many options. So you're kind of like, because a lot of you have other ideas you might want to do, right? So here I'm going to have two objects interacting one another. Okay, so now you can have more, you can have like 5 things designed and make that a component. Like I'm gonna make these 2 objects a component. So I don't want you to only think text or just a simple box. You can diversify it. And once this becomes a component, right, you add a variant. So let's go add a variant state right now. And here you can actually do, well, I'll show you 2 options. We can do a click or we can do a drag. And that's when sliders are handy, right? So the click is easy. You just simply change this to look like this, right? So it switches like on and off. Look, even changes the color to something else. And this changes the color to, this is the colors over here. So just be mindful of that, right? So then this can be whatever activation you want it to be. So I'm going to click on this one here and say, look, you're going to go to on, back to prototype. I drag this to here. On click, change to variant 2. Animation. Look, smart animate means it's going to animate the actual action. So you want to make sure you activate smart animate, because if you don't, it's going to just go like quickly switch, which might work too. But if you want to animate it like a dragger or slider menu, you want to make sure the animation is activated. So in this case, I'm going to do smart animate, and you can control the milliseconds and stuff, but I'm going to leave it at default. And then same thing when I go back. I'm going to go this one, back to that one, on click, change to, it'll remember the animated prerequisite. So it's going to keep it the same, and it's going to leave it at that. And that's going to be a really cool action because now you have an animated button. Okay, so you can do an animation of a button as well. Okay, you're going to have things like swipe across, a little effect that happens, right? You can have the button get bigger and smaller, like resize, changes color. Remember the other group, the color wheel thing? They made the color for black and white. We can do transitions. So this now, let's test it here. The third example. Back and forth, right? Click, unclick. So it animates everything, even the actual effect, the rollover state. All right. So as soon as you make a component, Danielle just asked me a really good question. Danielle. Okay. So you don't have to group it. When you make a component, it automatically groups it. Okay, simple. Just groups it automatically. Just like auto layouts, it groups it. A lot of grouping happens by itself. Group is like the thing of the past. The group is like only in Illustrator now and Photoshop. That's about it. I mean, you could group things, but then the intention is just to keep it organized and for layout purposes. Here, you want to go beyond group. You want to make a component. You want to do auto layout and these other advanced functions that automatically group the things anyways. So yeah, skips a step. Okay, let me introduce one more. And this one is going to be kind of the finishing part of this basic introductory to components. And then I'll do an advanced one because I want to show you how a drop-down menu works too. Because honestly, once you understand this theory, the other stuff is easy. Just the concept of making something look like something else based on what you do. And then comes the, where does it go? Well, this points to that artboard. That means when you click here, go there, right? And to make it scrollable, you just make it scrollable, make it longer, like I showed you last week. Okay. So let's do the dragging slider now. So back to design I go. I'm going to create a nice, I'll create a line this time. Okay, so it's going to be a thicker. Here's the, right? Around the edges as well. Look round and round. And then I'm going to introduce the, I'll introduce another object. It's going to be a circle. Nice and centered, the circle is. Okay, so again, I'll keep it simple. Two objects, and you can do more than two. This is a slider. You can do vertical, horizontal, whichever way you want this slider to look like a volume button, usually up and down. The contrast on your phone, the brightness and contrast, the volume, notifications, everything has a volume bar. So you can do any type of design you like. The action is the same. So then this becomes a component. So right click, create component, right? Command Shift K, or sorry, Option Command K, or Alt Control K on a PC. And then you add a state. You go over here, you create a new state. And the new state is when you create the second action of this component. So what I'm going to do is, watch carefully. I'm going to double click. You got to double click to go inside the group, right? Remember we didn't group it because it's grouped automatically. So as soon as you click on the component, it's selected as a group. So you have to double click to go inside to select, specific shapes in that component. So I'm going to move this on the other side like that. You see? Should I change the color also? Why not? Like a temperature change. So I'm going to change this color to blue. Now, remember, because this is a very specific slider, I want people to literally only click on this circle here. I don't want them to accidentally click here. This shouldn't work if you click here. This should work if it's only touched on this element. It's like a knob. You want to touch the knob and move it around or turn it. So that knob now, this red circle becomes our target point. So you have to, again, double click. So you're target specific now. So it's a little more tedious than the other examples, because the other examples were just click, select, point, click, drag, whatever. This is more specific. So this one now goes to, let's go to prototype, to this next one. And it's going to be on drag. So when we drag this over to that side, it's going to go to that one there. And it's going to do animation, smart animate. It has to, otherwise it won't look realistic. Okay, and ease out 300 milliseconds. That's fine. I'm okay with those details. If you're not happy with the timer, if it's too slow or too fast, you can increase or decrease the milliseconds. How long is 300 milliseconds? Like 0.3 of a second, almost, right? So 300 milliseconds. So that's the case. Then watch this now. Same thing happens here. Double click, select this only, drag it to this component, and you do the same thing on drag. Change to default, animate 300 milliseconds. So we went inside the little circles and we told them to be draggable. Okay, and this can do a lot of cool things on your prototypes. Now I get this confused sometimes, so fingers crossed. Let's hope it works. Otherwise, I have to do it all over again. Let's see. So let's go back to now. Notice how everything I'm doing here. Look how complex this. Look how simple this is. It just shows me a thumbnail of the first predecessor. So all I do now is bring this in and I can resize it holding shift. Right. I can also do option drag, Command D. Ready? Look, it goes nice and it's nice and constrained. And you can actually go here or you can go all the way there. Once you go halfway and you stop, it goes back to the default. They go, you didn't make it. But if you pass the halfway line, it goes to the next side. It doesn't just stop wherever you stop the mouse. Do you understand? It doesn't. You can do that, but guess what? To do that, I have to make 10 more and make them stop at every point. I could systematically do the increment, but no need for that. Don't watch a 2-hour YouTube video on how to go slide. No point. Just do this. It takes you 5 minutes and you can make it just as effective, right? So you can actually go and make the sliders work any way you want, right? So now you can do sliders. You can do animated buttons that change colors. You can do switches and clicks, and you can do rollovers. And all that you can add to your prototypes. But again, you're not here yet. You're still working on your plans, designs, grayscales. So when you get here, you can easily just add this thing that I'm showing you now, this knowledge base, and apply it on your apps. Okay? Any questions? Because now I got the grand finale coming. The drop-down menu. Now we're doing like Jedi level 10 here, okay? Get your lightsabers out. All right. So let's close this one down. And I did capture a lot of, do you want to do this together? You guys want to do this together with me now? Like open your laptops and stuff, or you just want to watch? You just watch them. Because the videos work when you watch them, right? Follow it, same thing, okay. Perfect. Because before I didn't record videos, eh? I made you do it. I used to walk around and see somebody not do it, I'd carry a big stick and just hit, not kidding. But we don't do that anymore. But I made sure everyone did my stuff. Like, you guys are kind of getting away with this because I'm just doing this video thing, but because it works, I see what you give me. But before, you would have to do it with me together because that's the only way it works. And I would do it in all my classes, Illustrator, Photoshop, XD, all that stuff. Okay, so here we go. But I do encourage you to do it with me if you like. So you want to do this one together. Why don't I make a separate file for this? Okay, so it's separate. This is more like the basic intermediate component exercise. I'm going to save it as that. So save a local copy. I'm going to upload this to our class so you can access this and, you know, experiment with it. So this will be called components and auto layout with auto layout. Okay. Perfect. So for this one, because I want to keep it separate, I'm going to create a new document. And by the way, you saw how easy it is for me to copy and paste things on other documents. That's very easy to do. Even the drop-down menu, you can do that too. So brand new file, right from scratch. I'm going to create a new document. Okay. Now, let me just tell you, in case what's this FigJam board? You guys, before you couldn't access this unless you have like a premium account. I think now because I asked you to log in with your Humber email, you can use this for your group projects. It's more like a fun collaborate thing, okay? So what you can do here is basically build like ideas, storyboards, right? Communicate. It's like a drawing board, right? Practically, should it help you? Yeah, that's what they did it for. It's like a fun kind of thing. So if you guys don't have time for this, you don't have to do this part. But it's there for that. So if you can do things like, look, you can go like write little notes. You have a marker. You can do like a sticky notes, and you can write, hey, did you know, the menu, right? So you can kind of collaborate with it's like a working environment, right? So that's what FigJam is. This is why I didn't spend so much time showing you this, because it is that. It's really simple. You can also, create text boxes, and you can do like, stamps. Hey, that's really cool, right? So it's a nice little networking environment for you to work with your design team, right? Practically, I never found a good use for this teaching because I'm teaching you how to make projects, not like do a little club. But if you guys want to experiment with it, please show me how it'll help you. And yeah, it's got the picture thing too. You can actually do, it's called a Polaroid camera, stickers and templates and all kinds of stuff. It's like a clip art gallery of things. I also explained to you what slide decks is. Slide decks is like a PowerPoint built into Figma. So it's like if you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, let's say you want to do a PowerPoint presentation for your project, you can use a deck. And all you do is basically, work with one artboard at a time. Oh, and you have templates too. I forgot to mention that part. So you can open up a marketing strategy template. And you can add as many artboards as you want. I call that cheating, but yeah, anyways. Well, PowerPoint has templates too, right? You pick a template you like it's like a Canva thing, right? You pick a template, you just change it around. Not everyone's a designer, right? But eventually you can tell when you have to do production work, that's when the skill comes up. What resolution is that? 300? Why is it 72? How come it looks like crap and we spent $10,000? Right? It's gonna bite you in the end. That's why you have to apply these advanced techniques you're learning here. Anyways, that's what this is. You can basically pick and choose your, template and create a PowerPoint show. Okay? Are we clear? You don't have to do none of these things. These are new added features in Figma. We're here to do prototypes, okay? Wireframes, projects, apps. So that's why we're sticking with the design files. We're not doing these other two. They came after, and this one just barely came out new in 2022, I think, or 23. Okay, so let's make a menu for our prototype. First thing I'll do, I'll create a section. See, you can make a menu without an artboard. It's like you're working with your draft board, let's say, right? So let's see if I can wing this the first time, because every time I do a drop-down menu, sometimes I miss a step. I got to go back and do it. So first thing is, how does a drop-down menu look like? We're going to have like a little, those 3 little hamburger buttons, right? And you click on that, and then what happens? Something collapses down, and then we see what? A bunch of menus show up. And then when you click on them, what happens? You go to the page. And then does the menu close or does it stay open? These are things you have to consider. But you have to press on the X to close the menu. Like, how do you close the menu? So you can control all these things. And instead of showing you a 2-hour YouTube video, I'm going to show you how to do it in 15 minutes. Okay? Keep it simple and it works just as effective. So here we go. First, we'll start off with the basics. We're going to go ahead and use the rectangle tool. This is how it's going to be. The hamburger button will look like this. I'm going to give it a nice vibrant color. Yes, we'll follow the exact design attributes that a menu has. I'm going to keep this maybe black. Okay, I'll make the line thicker. This is your width tool. Okay. Option, drag, shift, Command D. Even this box can be truncated smaller. Like all this can be also an auto layout. I can make this an auto layout if I want, right? Or I keep it a component. Right? There we go. There. So I just use the center portion for auto layouts. And I could control this as well. See, auto layout helped me make this a perfect design. So I selected the box, I drew the 3 lines, and then I made the auto layout work with everything to make this work, okay? So what's next? So next is to make it a component. Because making a component is the only way to make a drop-down menu. You can't do it, well, You can make one with 2 artboards, but that's very amateur. So you're not gonna, the amateur hour is done. We're not doing that, okay? So let's make a component right now. Right click, create component. And then we add a variant, just like we did with the previous examples. I'm gonna go over here and do what's called add a new variant. This will be, look what I'm doing here. I'm clicking on this frame here, and this will be called ham menu. I'm going to make this bigger on purpose because this I'm going to delete, and I'm going to make a different menu here. Because the menu is going to look like it's dropping down. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and use a similar design with a rectangle tool going like this. As big as you want. I want to match the same color. So how do I match the same color? Where's the eyedropper tool? Where's the eyedropper tool, everybody? The eyedropper tool here? They didn't give us an eyedropper tool. So how do I match the color? Copy the hex code. So look, you click on the fill, right? Guess what? The eyedropper is right here. Within the fill gamut. You click on the eyedropper and you go all the way here and you copy that same yellow color. Just so it matches the color, looks more natural that way. Okay, and now you have this. Expand it over. Okay, and now we have the menu items. So here we have, you know, whatever the menu should say. Let's just keep it generic. I'm going to click. Notice how I'm clicking inside before I do anything. Because when I go to my files, I want to make sure the structure here is the same. Oh, by the way, this is outside. I want to make sure this is inside. Look at that. See, I move this. Oops. Got to paste it. It's still outside. Let's see here. You know what? Don't delete it. I think I deleted it. So I'm going to do like this. I'm going to add a variant. It should work though. There was a way to put it inside. Like honestly, it just may be glitching on me. There's a way to drag it in. It's not that difficult. Okay, there should be a way. Just keep an eye on this. It should be all kind of together. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So let's do this. And then we're going to put some text. This will be home. I'll just make it simple, okay? So home page, right? Oh, I got auto layout on. That's why it's doing this too. So I'm going to turn off auto layout for now, just because it's kind of interfering with my design here. See, sometimes auto layout doesn't always work. So I'm gonna remove auto layout for this, just so it's easier for me to do this, okay? So auto layout worked for here, but it didn't work here. You see what I'm saying? So I just turned it off by simply going there. And now I'm gonna be able to do Option, drag, shift, step and repeat. We'll do 4 menus. They're nicely tucked in inside there. About portfolio. Maybe you are doing a portfolio, like an app or something like that. And then contacts. This looks like one of the websites that you guys are working on. So if it's like a website app menu. Okay. So this variant and that variant are two separate ones. This one's expanded into an open full portfolio menu. Also, let's consider the counter actions. How do you close the menu? The little X, right? We're going to put a little X. So with that, we're going to go inside here, use the lines tool, and draw a line like this, and just go, right? Watch this. Option drag, and just move the other way with shifts. Oops. I guess I should center them perfectly with one another. Center and center. Whoops. I think this is centered here. I don't think I rotated them perfectly. Okay. Anyways, you can perfect it any way you like. Sometimes it looks nicer if it's not perfect either, right? And you know what? This I can group if I want. This I can group. I can press Command G, right? So this I just grouped. I grouped this purposely just to keep it kind of easy to select, because you know there's more than one shape. So this is grouped. Okay, my menu is ready to roll now. I'm ready to kind of make it happen, right? Make it interactive. I designed it from scratch. Now let's make it work. So what's going to happen is when people click on this state, I'm going to go to prototype, and then I'm going to drag this to here. On click, change to variant 2 instantly. No animation. You don't have to animate that. It's going to look like that. And then the state, right, which is normal. And to go back to close it, the X here, the little X that I made, that'll be the executor to actually go and initiate back to that one. On click, change to default animation. Okay, instant. That alone should make the menu work. Let's test it. So to test it, I'm gonna, go back to my assets, and there's the asset. No, looks like a normal hamburger menu, right? You can also copy paste it to another page or another project and reuse it for something else. But I'm gonna draw a frame in the same file here, and this will be an iPhone, whatever we want it to be. Let's go with iPhone 16 Pro. Okay. Actually, I like the SE. It's nice and small, and the SE is nice and small. It's compact to demonstrate. Okay, so here's an actual iPhone prototype. I'm gonna try my menu now and bring it to my main page of my phone. So drag and drop. Here we go. Okay, and I'll tuck it in the corner. Should I go left or right corner? What do you think? Just try this again. Left or right? Right? Okay. Depends if you're right-handed or left-handed, right? Remember that one? Okay, so let's test this. Well, because I built it this way, right? It does kind of look better if we do the left, because it's going to expand that way. So think of how you're designing it. If it's the other way, you should move it over, right? You can easily change the design. Let's test it. Fingers crossed, everybody. Open, close. Open and close. How's that? Does it work though? No, but how does it work? Like really, when you click on the menu, it goes to that page. What's the point of this if it doesn't work? We can show off that, hey, by the way, we put a menu there, but it's not working. Right? Let's make the menu work. So to make the menu work, we have to create 4 pages for the 4 sections very easily. I'm going to call this one, by default, it'll be the home page. And guess what? I'm going to change the color of it to look like it's the home page. Oh, not that one. And maybe we'll type home just for the record of location. This is the home page, right? Okay, let's make 3 more. So Command D, remember step and repeat, Command D. This is the about page. This is the portfolio page. And this is the contact page. Okay, and obviously you can do some maneuvering if you have to for all the pages, right? And yeah, they can all change color too. Why not? Let's make this one a little more this one color, and we're gonna make this one this color over here. And this one will be a different color also. Right? Okay, so my pages are there. My prototyping's done. Now I want to point, this is why you want to use components, because once you make it work, it's going to work everywhere at any time. You don't, because think about if you don't do this. Then you have to go link this here, link this here, link this, then link this back, link this forth. You have to do this like 100 times. So why would you do that when you do it once? Do it once, do it properly, it works flawlessly throughout your workflow. So therefore, from here, we target the navigation on the pages. That's why you want to keep it all kind of, you know, at the same level. So I zoom in, I double click, I go to prototype, and I make this one go to the home page, right? So on click, navigate to home. Now, pay attention to this part. Do you want the menu to stay open or do you want it to close? Because sometimes I've seen places where it stays open. You can click on different options. Let's leave it open for now, and then I'll show you how to control open and close while you're navigating. So I'm going to leave it open for now, okay? And this one is going to go, again, I got to double click because it's inside a group in a component. You got to double click to select only that and then move it over to the about page. And this one goes here. I don't have to double click again. Once you double click once, you're good. Right. And if you're in prototype mode, you can see all the links. Right? Let's test it. Here we go. The home page. Open the menu. Well, first of all, it's interfering, so that's not the best thing, but whatever. About page, portfolio page, contact page, home page, close the menu. Open the menu, close the menu, go wherever you like, and close the menu again. This is fine. A lot of people do this. This really bothers me, by the way. So I'll just quickly move all these sections down here. Okay. Let me play one more time quickly here. Okay, so you ready? Like it all works nicely, right? Some people like this, but you can, when you click away, it'll work too. But the X does a nice job of hiding the menu, and it's fully functional and navigational, right? But how about if you do want the menu to close every time? Because let's face it, a lot of apps do have it closed, right? If that's the case, then what you want to do is you go inside here. Okay, watch this last part, everybody. You see the prototype. Look, when it goes here, you click on the arrow that points to the page. The state. This is important. The state. You want to make sure Canada doesn't become the 51st state. I got your attention now, right? What the state said is this. You reset component state. Okay, when you reset component state, that means the menu closes. You can also reset the scroll position. If it's like a website you scroll or an app, it'll reset the location of that. That's not really the issue here, but you could check on both just to be on the safe side. Do check and check. Do the same thing here. Just click on this. State, check, check. Do the next one. And the next one. Right? That's all I have to do. So the difference is now Whereas before, I open the menu, close the menu, right? Nothing changes there. If I go here now, it closed. If I go somewhere else, it closed, and it always closes no matter where I go, the menu closes itself on contact, just like that. Okay? So I wanted to keep this very simple, but very practical for you to use for all your, and you can dress this up as much as you like, put as many colors, graphics, all the good stuff that you know how to do, but just make it work. So that is how we can add all these different components. Now, today was focusing on components with a little bit of auto layouts on all your assembly on your prototypes going forward. Okay, so I hope you found this lesson useful. I'm going to stop the recording now, and we'll talk about what happens in the future with the upcoming dates. Next week's the portfolio week, right? So I'm going to be here. I'm going to show up. Okay, if you guys need help, come next week. I might do like a thing online too. So yeah, so you're here anyways. Well, I don't know. Some people might talk to Roberto, but I'm gonna show up here anyways. And then the same night you have to go downtown after. Right? It's okay. Just I do that every day. So you guys can do it one day. It's gonna be okay, right? So I'll see you next week then. We'll be here. We'll do a nice little. I'll give you time to work next week, anyways. So do your work. If you have to leave early and prepare for your portfolio night, you can do that as well. As long as you show up and stuff, we'll meet here. So having said that, let's wrap this up, and we're going to close the recording here. I'm leaving now. Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks for watching again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.